Good morning, everybody. I'm going to put this out there because I know you meant it as a joke, but it's also true. 2 paychecks in a row, baby. 2 in a row. I'm astonished. I'm astonished. Here's the thing, man. We got to talk about the storm a little bit today because just for reasons. I think the storm is interesting and the paycheck is interesting and trends are interesting and all the things that I want to talk about I think are very interesting. And here's what I want to get into today. I want to hit the storm up a little bit because the storm has been, how do I say this right? Love, hate, not the right way to say it. It's a really good strategy. There's parts of it that I really like and parts of it that I really don't like. And I want to actually go to my table here and break down kind of what I'm doing with it and what I'm feeling at the table. I think as we do these paychecks, some of them are obvious, right? Like the Molly, you play it. There's nothing to learn from that. That's literally a zero thinking strategy, right? The Red Cross, also zero thinking. You collect your money, baby. You just roll dice, collect money. It's one of those kind of things. The 6, 7, 8 that we did required a little bit of bopping around, right? This one requires some bopping around and some brain power to get through it. I think it's worth talking about even more, okay? And as we get into our regular talk today about situational play and working the phases, I'm gonna kind of bring all that together. So bear with me today as we go through the table side of stuff and really talk about all of it at kind of at once. And then I want to talk trending with you too. So I do think there's good conversation to be had on the topic of trends. Friend of mine, one of your friends too, and I actually been talking a lot over email about it. And I have thoughts on this thing. And I think when I talk about trends, I know that it's become kind of a meme. So I want to spend a little bit of time in the weeds on that and show you the way I really feel about it. Because I think I've not been clear enough. Let's talk more about it here in a minute. But before that, I want to get into the storm. Storm won 2 days in a row. We lost the first day, $300 or so. Won yesterday, $325. Won today, $235, whatever it was. The first day we lost because I was picking the points. I kept buckshotting my points, and the don't pass with the massive odds just got destroyed. And although we did earn our way back, the don't pass was killing us. And actually in practice week, the don't pass killed me all week long. I was throwing pretty good. It just killed us, right? Yesterday, we had a grindy day. Nothing happened. Like the don't pass never needed to, nothing ever happened. I never hit the odds and took it away. It never hit a 7 early where it saved our bets. It was just the 204 did its thing all by itself yesterday. We ground out a win. Today, what happened? I had 2 PSOs, so or 1 PSO and one hit, then a 7. And so the don't pass for the odds saved our bacon twice, which is what it's for, right? Yesterday we didn't need it. Today it saved us twice, which is awesome. And in fact, on the last throw, I threw a 2-1-3, $50 on the don't. That put us over the top, and that made it happen, which is great. So, these strategies are all designed to like cover all the different situations, right? Short rolls, the storm helps you out. On a roll where you just don't need it, you don't need it, it's fine. If the roll goes super long, the storm helps you out. The one hole that it has is buckshot in the points, and you gotta be careful of that. So for that reason, when you're throwing well, or you're with a controlled shooter who is picking points, that thing is gonna kill you. It may not be the right strategy to play in that situation. When we talk about situational play, it might not be the one you reach for. If your shot is good, if you're a DI and your shot's good, you may not want to reach for that thing. Against what you don't know is going to happen, I can see reaching for it, right? There's nuance to this thing, and I want to make sure that we are really, really, really covered on how this thing works. And I want you to really, really think through with me the ways that we sort of evaluate where we are and what our next moves are going to be. So Dan says, in your opinion, there is no such thing as dice trends or as trends in dice outcomes unless the dice are loaded. Okay, I'll buy that for sure. I think what I say a lot with regards to trending is that in a fair game, where things are actually random, right? There is no trends, and I think that's kind of and let's actually go back there. I want to do this with chips so we can see it. God, I love my new chips. Aren't they cool? How bright they are! I just love how these things look on the table. Maybe a little bit too bright today. There we go. So I have an extra light on it here. I think, and I said somebody got on me yesterday about saying this, but I think that there's truth in what I'm about to say to you. Craps and roulette are very similar in terms of things that can happen in a sequence. All right, let's move this out of the way here, and let's just look at a roulette board. Okay, and you've seen this in roulette before, right? You've seen black. Can you see the black chips? I'll use the white chips instead of black chips. You've seen, black, and then you see red, black. Move these up a little bit here. And then you see this, boom, 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 right? Like all these reds in a row, right? You've all walked by the roulette table and seen that little chart thing that shows you all the outcomes. And you go, wow, look at all the reds. Look at all the reds that are going to happen here, right? Now, the question that I've got for anybody who believes in trend betting, okay, is this. And I'm going to frame this correctly, because this could very easily be pass line win, miss the point, pass line winner. Like, shooter 1 makes 2 points, shooter 2, 7's out, shooter 3 makes his point, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys in a row, PSO, right? This happens on our game too. Roulette's an easier way to look at it, okay? In a trend line like this, right? In a pattern like this, in an outcome set like this, my question is this. If you walked up to the table, right? You bum around the casino, you go to the roulette table, you look at the chart, and this is what you see, right? From the bottom to the top. You go, oh my God, look at all the reds. Are you going to walk up to the table, right, with a $500 chip, table max, and drop it on red? And that's the question I've got. Right? If you're a believer in the notion of trending, there's my nickel chip, my big $500. Are you dropping 500 in our case, let's say on the don't pass? Are you dropping $500 on red, $500 on the don't pass? Would you make that move because you saw 7 in a row? Contemplate that for a minute. For those of you who believe in trends, clearly, right? Clearly, the trend is red, right? It's red. I'm dropping my paycheck on a red. Why? And Gargoyle says, yes, he would, right? I'm a straight up hell effing no on that, right? Because on a roulette table, right, that ball doesn't know what it just did. It could land anywhere. If it's a fair game, right? If the wheels spinning at the same thing and all that, if it's all fair, there's no way the ball knows what's coming next, right? Dice, same thing. If this is pass, made a point, missed a point, made a point, and all these guys missed their points in a row, right? Are you dropping all your money on the don't pass because the 7, quote unquote, is dominant, or shooters are sucking, or the table is cold? Are you dropping and I mean out of the blue, are you walking up and dropping a paycheck at it? Because again, the dice, right? If I pick the dice up and it's a 6-3 on the stick man brings them back to me, and it's a 6-3, and I literally pick them up and I shake them and I wing them, there's nothing from me picking these dice up from a 4-1 set to a whatever set, right, that says what I just did is going to happen again. There's no indication from the dice, from the ball in the roulette wheel. If this was player, banker on baccarat, there's nothing in a random world that says this is going to be red again, right? It just happenstance. We call that a variant, right? We call this a variant, a cluster, whatever you want to call it. So my answer to that is no. I'm not the person that's going to walk up here and go, red's due or red's coming, and drop it on red. There are people, and you know them from chat and from other channels, that would say, all those reds, I'm going to start martingale in the black because black's due. Right? Anti-trending. right? The anti-pattern, right? I'm going to start martingaling the opposite side of that because it's due to happen. Those things, to me, don't live in reality. And that's what I was trying to get to yesterday, which is like this. Now, do I capitalize on this? Do I bet on what's coming? You bet your ass I do, okay? And that was a point that I think most people don't understand. And what I typically do is this. Let's take a green chip as an example, right? I'll bet the don't, right? Normally, I follow what's coming, right? So whatever happened last, right? Let's say I walk up to the table and okay, somebody hit a point, cool, I'm on the pass line. Great. They win the pass line again, that's fantastic. I stacked that son of a gun up, right? I'm gonna try and parlay it, right? But I'll lose it here. Goes away. All right, fine. I'll bet the don't for a minute. I bet the don't, and I lose the don't. Okay, crap. I lost that again, right? Now I'm back to the don't, or I'm on the pass line right here, right? Because this one won. I lost my money. I switch sides. I go here, and now we're on this roll here of the dice. Well, the shooter doesn't make a pass again. Okay, I switch sides. I follow the winner, Baccarat style. Now I'm on this one here, right? He wins it. Boom. That's a stack. We go to here. Wow, we won them both. Regress. We're on here. Win it again. Stack it up. We're on here. It wins again. Up and pull. We're on here. It wins again. Up and pull. We're down to here now. We win 4, right? Up a unit, pull. The last one that wins, it wins 5. Up a unit, and pull. Whatever happens next, I don't care, because from my initial 1 unit bet, I started and I got 1, 2, $350 in profit. Okay, 3, 6, or 4, 8, 12, 14 units come back in that little sequence right there. I'm betting on what's coming. I'm hammering, quote unquote, the trend. My parlance, the way I say it, is I'm leaning into, or I'm betting into the variant. I'm betting into what's happening. I didn't walk up here and go, oh, wow, look at all that, and just drop my whole paycheck out there on this roll because I think it's going to happen. I start here and I get into it as it comes. And that's the way that I sort of approach what's happening at a table. I don't try and figure out what's going to happen based on what happened before. I feel like you can't do that. You can start betting in here, and as it keeps winning, you keep betting it and increasing your bet size as you go, and so you strengthen your bet with profit parlays or with profit presses. That's a smart way to do it, right? Lean into what's betting. Bet what's coming, right, with your profits, not coming out of your pocketbook here and going, well, seems like red's hot. Here comes my paycheck. Like, that's not the way I see it. And some people do see that. Some people, let's say that these were, let's say this was like a bunch of 6s. Like I threw, like yesterday, the other day, I threw 5 6s in a row, right? It happens. I threw 5 6s in a row. Some people would say to you, well, let's hop the 6, right? Or there was a lot of 4s on one of the die. The 4 was a dominant number today for some reason, right? So anything with a wheel of 4s. That's a way that a lot of people see the game, right? Reading the table, seeing what's going on, and trying to kind of predict what's happening, but you can't predict anything. It's like you got to picture craps and roulette and baccarat and everything. There's a brick wall right here. The last roll of the die, the last roulette ball that dropped, there's a brick wall. The next roll here is a completely independent event. Now, you're going to find pockets where this happens. Roulette is a great example because you can see it on the board. Craps, same thing. The field does this all the time. The don't pass does this all the time, okay? But you cannot let what happened before drive your next bet, other than if you're already there, like we would be, you increase the power of the bets. I would not say field, press the 8. Like, that's ludicrous. And I think that's what Darksider was saying. Would you press some other number? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't press the cold numbers or the invisible numbers, right? As the 9 hits, it gets more money from the wins. And that's how I approach it. I think when I talk about trending and I get kind of negative about it, that's sort of where I'm headed with it. I hope that makes sense. Like, as I explain it like that, it's not that I don't see the patterns happening. And I don't see the clusters forming, and I don't see the variants, and I don't bet aggressively. I bet very aggressively into a variant, but I don't try and predict what's coming. The exception to that rule is if you are an accomplished shooter. And we had this conversation over email. If you're an accomplished shooter and you're setting your dice and you're actually creating this high variant of inside numbers because of what you're doing with your dice, that's a trend that I would probably bet into ahead of time. That might be a thing where when you hit the 8, I may half press the 8 and also press the 6 too. I may press the outsides of that, or I may do some of that stuff, right? Because I see that you're creating this inside variant with your toss. That's a different story if you're a quote unquote controlled shooter. But just in general, looking at dice land and seeing Hucker and Chucker, let's do it. Let's get, there's 2 4s. Okay, good. We saw a 4 on the dice and we saw an 8. If I'm tracking this table, well, that has nothing to do with it. A 6 and a 3 doesn't help me at all. There's another 4. There's a 4, 3, 7, but we saw a 4 on one of the die now 3 times. Okay. I might be keying on that, right? There's another one. Look at that, 2 4s. Now I've got a 4, 4, 8, a nothing roll, a 4, 5, 9, and a 4, 4, 8. Is the 4 on the faces a trending thing that I want to jump into and throw money at? Some people look at that and see that and say that's what you should be doing, right? Now, if you're setting like I do with the 1s on top and I'm seeing a lot of 1s, yes, that's the thing I would probably look at. But this guy who's doing that, there's 0 chance that I'm going to hop the hot face of a die, especially when that person threw a 7 and the next person from a different spot in the table throws it differently. I can't get my head wrapped around that, and I don't know how people do. And that's my feelings on this thing. I absolutely, quote unquote, trend bet in terms of I hammer the numbers that are coming, right? If my come bets are winning, I'm making them bigger and I'm putting more odds on them. If my 9 is rolling 5, 6 times on a shooter, you better believe I'm pressing that 9 and taking it as high as I can. That's quote unquote trend betting, but I'm not walking up to a table going, how's it going? And somebody says, oh, this guy threw 4 9s. I'm like, great, $500 on the 9. That ain't what happened. That ain't what's happening to me, right? I think that is the thing. Yeah, not on separate shooters. Here's the thing though. A lot of people, Ryan, do it across shooters. They feel like, and if you look at a chart, right, of the last 100 rolls of a table, shooter be damned, you'll find that there are clusters of numbers that appear. I can't get my head around multiple shooters, right, clustering around numbers and that being a thing to bet on. I know some people study this differently than I do. I never do that, right? That's just me, right? And you're right. Darksider's 100% right here, right? You assume it's going to go. And that's why I gave the example I gave, right? If I'm on the line or if I'm at a roulette table and I'm betting red and black, right? And I like to follow the winner, right? Whatever happened last, I'm going to bet black. I'm going to bet black. I'm betting black. I parlayed the black. I regressed the black, up and pull, up and pull, up and pull, up and pull, lose the money, but I've got all that profit. That's how I do it, right? I will attack what's coming, but I'm not going to jump in here. I'm not going to wait it out and say, I'm going to wait until I see 4 or 5 blacks and then go in heavy, which I know that's some people's mentality is to wait, see what's happening, and then hammer something that they think is happening after it's already happened. That's the difference. I look at it kind of like as a forward thinker versus looking in the back, if that makes sense. I hope that's clarifying. Let me look at some of the other chats here before I move on, because I really want to talk about the storm, because the storm is the thing that I think we're having, I hate to say issues with, right? But here we go. Let's see. You're funny. Every day arguments. The trending thing is real though, and I think that the arguments about them have to happen because the words that we use are important, I believe. Right, wheel the force. That's funny. The words that we use are important, and I think betting into a variant, I think, is where what we're all saying the same thing. Betting into a variant is where it's at. So let's hop into the storm, and I want to switch gears over here from this topic, and I want to really jump into this thing with you. Okay, so here's the storm, and I want to look at the bankroll. So here's what we are. Okay, we're going to be out let's grab a point. We're out on a point of 9. All right, let's set the bets up. And I want to really look at the best way to approach some of these strategies. Okay, here's going to be, this will be 169 across. Okay, 169 across, and we're going to put 180 down there on the odds. Okay, 180 to win 120 plus 50 is 170. If we have an immediate 7, we win a net of $1. All this goes away. You have a net win of $1. Oops, lost it off the table. That much we know, okay? The next move here is this. Let's say that we have one hit. Let's say it's the 5, all right? That'll pay $50 for one. We know that. We're gonna pull the 4 and 10 down. We're gonna take that. We're gonna make it look like 10, 10, and 5. So now what do we have in action? This is, and again, you got to look at these strategies when you devise a way to play. Important to know where you are at all times, especially if your goal is a paycheck versus your goal is a home run. I think that's another thing we have to consider. What's your goal for the day? Is it a paycheck or a home run? I'm playing out in the garage, super conservative, paycheck, 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 paycheck. I'm not looking for the home run yet. Where are we right now? We're at 1020. Okay, actually, let's start from the inside. We have 42 and 42, right? That's $84. Okay, 94, 104, 114 plus 25 is 120, 124, 134, 139 out here in action. Okay, we reduce ourselves from 169 to 139 by bringing some of the bets down. Okay, now we've got a little bit of power on the 7 if it happens to hit, which is fantastic, which is great. The 7 comes, we're gonna make a little bit of money here. The goal of the strategy is to get out, right? Let's say we have a 6 roll and it wins $50. We're gonna bring the 5 down to 10, we bring the 6 down to 12, and the 8 down to 12. And here's where we end up. I'll bring the odds back to the rack like they never happened. We started out here with 179, or 169 rather, so there's 150, 160, let's make it right. 150, 160, 165, 169. That would be what we started with. So the storm would have done its job. At this point, what do you have? $41 in locked profit. Okay, your money's back in the rack, almost. Okay, almost back in the rack. And here's where we get screwed up sometimes, right? We think we have 41 in profit and we really don't, because we could whack a 9 right now. And if the 9 comes, we're losing $50, right? If we pull all this down right here, you could say there's my 41 plus the 54. Now we're at $100. If I pull it all down right now, where are we at? Remember, our starting bankroll is back in the rack. We have it all back covered in the rack. If I pull everything down, where do you end up in the storm? In a pretty good place. Even the don't. Pull the don't. 75, 100, 125, 145 bucks. Plus the whites, 150 on that first shot. When you pull it all back, that's where you end up being, right? You got profit locked. I'm sorry, not 145, because the $50 goes back to your rack as your starting point. So you have 25, 50, 75, 95, 100 bucks. $100 in profit when the move works. But we never let it be. We always have this. Your don't pass is still sitting there, right? You're still out here at your $54. And all the things that can happen to us, as you can see, happen to us, right? You can be here. There's your little bit of profit that you got, your $46 in profit. Now, question I've got all the time here is what happens next? And this whole week, let me change my screen here. The whole week has been about what happens next. Let me switch screens to this one. Like that. Okay, let's move ahead here, right? What happens next? We just got out of the hand, right? We simulated getting out. Now I'm looking at what I've got. And even though I've got $41 or $46 in my rack here with my initial outlay back, my initial outlay is not back, right? This is my initial across bet right here. That's what this is. This other pile is my odds, which are back in the rack. I still have this 50 bucks at risk. The $46 isn't quite the 50. So if we lose it all, we're basically even. We're not even ahead yet. Unless you pull it all down, you're not really ahead. This feels like you're playing for free. If I pull the don't, now I can say I'm playing for free and I've got the $41 in lock. Only if I pull the don't pass down back to my rack with my initial starting, can I really say I'm playing for free with profit. While the don't sitting out there, I'm really not. I really still have a chance of being down an extra 50 bucks or an extra $9 as it were. So you got to remember that part of it, right? So that brings you into, do you want to become right side or dark side? Okay. If I'm going to lock a $50 profit up or lock this as profit, I'd have to pull my don't, which locks this up, right? If I leave the don't out there, I'm still upside down. So a lot of things you can do, right? Place the point against it, right? That locks this takes this out of commission, right? You're locking 50 bucks is coming back to your rack no matter what. That's not a loss. That's an even, Steven. And now you're playing with the 54 across. Let this bet be a who cares bet, which is what I don't do enough of upstairs. I allow the don't pass to resolve itself most of the time. But if I hedge it off, let's run the scenario, right? Again, here's our starting bankroll, right? Our 50 bucks is here. Effectively, you can count this 50 bucks as being in your rack because no matter what happens, we're going to be okay here. Let me show you. I'll roll some dice here. There's an 8, okay? While we're doing this, letting this resolve, let's manage, again, the profit center in our rack is right here. Let's manage that next phase, this getting up phase. And I want to keep both of those things kind of front and center. So today's getting up is going to be this. We're going to go here. Do something different, right? Completely change our way of playing, okay? I'm giving you some options here, right? You can go, instead of being in a cross better and doing your thing, you could completely flip this thing out and go with a GOAT strategy, right? Take the 5 out of it and just play the 6, 8, 4, 10 with the hard 4 and hard 10, right? Go, just take the 5 and 9 away. Again, we're getting rid of that one anyway, and play it something like that. You could do a permanent press. Take the 4 and 10 down completely and just leave your inside numbers there, right? Take this down and lock that. There's $26 for sure coming home at this point, right? You got to roll dice here. There's a hard 8, right? Which will pay 14 bucks. And what you do with that maybe is take one of your nickels, put the 2 whites back, and press all the inside numbers. This is one of those things where it's like, hey, I'm not pressing what's coming, I'm pressing everything, right? For 2 or 3 rolls to kind of build some power up on the inside. There's a 10, which we're not on. There's a 5, which we're on for $21. Drop a penny, take a nickel, and do that move again. Right? Again, change up your whole way of playing. Today I was doing more of a aggressive pressing thing. This is more of a passive pressing thing. And if I can catch 3 like I just did, there's $28, right? And these can all come either back down to their base or back to the rack completely. And look what we did, right? There's a quarter. So now we've guaranteed ourselves. Let's take a look here where we are. If I take those other nickels out of there, that's also 25 bucks. Look at that. We have $75 there. We got $5 here. That's 84 plus 10, 20, 30, $4, right? Locked the $100 and locked 50. If I bring all this back with me, and again, you gotta like really be aware of like where we are here. Bring all this mess down. There's 25. So there's 100, 15, 118. No matter what happens here, let's roll it out till it ends. There's the 9. Lose the 50. 40 pays 56. 150. And this comes back. So there's 175. There's your $200 and change, right? Hedging that off is a move we're not making right now. right? We're putting that at risk to get a clean 50 bucks versus a net 50 bucks. That's an interesting way to play this thing out. And by switching your mindset in here and not just going press what's coming, or not just same betting, or not just going into the come betting system, right? Switching it up completely might be the difference between one shooter getting you to paycheck and 2 or 3 like it was today. Just something to consider. It's also not the worst thing to consider. This, watch what I'm gonna do here. We're gonna go ahead and reset the insides. And I made mention of this morning. That's gonna be here actually. Take this away. Let me get them reset. I wanna get your opinions on this, right? If you're here and here, like we were, with the $50 don't, and we had $45, $46 locked, right? We had 46 bucks in the rack, right? 50 bucks on the don't, and all the money out here. An option that we've got is this. Take it all down and let the don't ride out. If you take it all down, right, now you've got 25, 50, 100 bucks locked away. Technically, the 50 bucks is your don't pass, locked away. If I put the 40 bucks out here, I can lock the whole 50 coming back every single time and let the hand play itself out. Be a little passive in it, but know where you are. Let the move work, rack the 100 bucks and lock the extra 50 and be good. That's not the worst thing for us to think about either. And I think when I'm playing the Storm, what I'm finding right now, and any 6, 7, 8 really, is what do we do after we're out of the hand? And that's kind of what it comes down to. Do you want to switch up sides and do something completely different, or do you want to play it your way and be golden with it? Somebody said yesterday, just go 96 across and hammer it. You know, if that's the goal, is to just always only win on a hot shooter, then we're going to grind it away. And I think that's what I'm feeling right now. Is when I'm playing the Storm in the garage right now, I feel like we're working hard to get our 2 shots. We put our $64 out there, and we're hoping for a miracle, or we grind out 30 bucks on a shooter. And that's very unsatisfying to do it that way, unless you didn't have the don't. So I'm very seriously considering, from this position here, every single time, either taking the don't down and switching right. So if I'm here, again, with that $45 in locked profit over here, very seriously considering pulling this down. So there's my starting bankroll, keeping the $45 and doing this. So locking my starting, locking 35 bucks, and then just playing the damn thing out and grinding the 35 bucks every single time. That's an option, or pulling this all down too and just taking 100 bucks off the table, take everything the hell down, let the 7 show, right? Take that 100 bucks, lock the 100 bucks away, let the 7 come, next shooter, do it again, and be out of there in 2 shooters. That might be a better way to approach this thing if you're looking at a paycheck versus getting free and trying for a miracle. I don't know that that's a way to make a paycheck. And I think that's a way to play with your friends. If I'm playing out there with all of us, let me go back over to where I can see y'all. Let me go here. Where's my thing? There it is. If we're out playing together and we're all trying to have some fun, right? Playing the Storm and leaving the $54 out there and just beating the crap out of it, trying for that hot roll. Great, man. I'll watch Gargoyle and Ed and all the guys shoot and make money, right? If I'm going to the casino to make a paycheck, 200 bucks, I'm doing it more like that, I think. I think what we need to do is be more conservative out here and not try and hit that 3rd phase. Let's get phase 1 and phase 2 and be done. Phase 1, phase 2 and walk away, paycheck style. And, you know, in the garage today, we made 250. What is 250 times 250 times 20 is that's 5,000 bucks, right? If you can win 250 a day, 20 days a month, like we just did this morning, that's 5K a month. If you can average that by being careful, right? Does that make some sense? So anyway, hopefully that's That's good food for thought for you. I'm going to go check. Look at all the chats. Boy, I talked about trends for 3 seconds and you guys went ballistic in the chat. That's awesome. That's so awesome. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to my questions and comments screen. I'm going to see what I got here. Gargoyle says, the difference between a trend and a pattern, they both happen. You call it a pattern, I would call it a variant. The difference is this, and I think we should definitely look at this as a thing. Let me go here. Why am I on the wrong screen? It should be the screen here. A pattern, patterns are things that repeat in sequence, right? Let me get all this crap out of the way. And I want to ask you all a question, because I know we have Gargoyle's attention today, so it's good. Is this a pattern, right? We had the pass line winner, 3 don'ts, a pass line winner, and that crazy run of like whatever, all those reds, right? There's not a pattern there. What I see there is a pocket, right? I see this crazy variant where, in a 50-50 game, we're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of 11 results, right? 9 out of 11 results we see. That's a variant from what you expect, which is 50-50. I don't see a pattern here. This might be seen by some people as a pattern. Right? You see what I'm doing here? Right? That could be seen as what I would dictionary define as a pattern is that, where it's 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. That's a repeating pattern to me. That's why I don't call these things that we see up here patterns. Field winning twice, losing twice, that's a pattern. But patterns, again, are repeatable based on circumstance, right? Patterns happen through a force, not so much through randomness. Randomness patterns can't be, although you'll see sequences like this that totally happen, right? And can you recognize that? When you're here, does that mean the next 2 are going to be red? And that's where I get into this pattern betting idea, where I kind of recoil against it because I don't believe the next one's going to be 2 reds, right? I know guys that bet that way, that look for a weird pattern and kind of bet the anti-pattern. I think Ken did a thing where he did this. He basically did this. He said he rolled like five roulette numbers, and he went like, it was like red, red, white, red, white, red, right? That was the pattern. And he said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to bet the opposite of that. We're going to martingale the opposite, right? So you're going to go, after that one rolls, your next bet is 1 unit on red. And then it's going to be, if you lose it, 2 units on black, opposite of this. So the only way you can lose in a martingale is if the exact opposite happens, white, white, red, white, red, white. That's the anti-pattern way of betting patterns. But again, patterns don't really happen in random things. And that's the thing that's hard to understand. We like to think about patterns being a real thing because our brains need to apply order to that. But yeah, I call it variant. You can call it pattern. We're all talking about the same thing. I was telling Darkside this. We're all talking about the same things, just using slightly different vocabulary to get around it. Let's see. Trends in hand. Let's see. I'm trying to see what's going on here. All strategies work. No number stronger than 7 from James Newberry. Totally right. If I see 7 straight PSOs, I'm going to be banned from the casino. I'll burn the table down. Dude, I have seen that. How many times have I seen that happen? And just people getting pissed. You got to, like I said, I generally speaking play a little bit of hybrid to get started. That's why I don't like crapless. Like when I'm playing against everybody else, I play the horseman. A little don't pass, a little bit of come betting, survive the roll, right? If a shooter 7's out, I'm good. If they go long, I'm good. I like to play in ways that set me up either way, so I don't care about that part. Like that's the thing. If you're going to be all in on one side and get 7 PSOs in a row and it's going to bankrupt you, that's a problem, man. We gotta talk about that. Let's see. The table was cold. Yeah, I hear you. This is that whole past tense thing, right? What else? Complete different example. I would start wearing a red hat every day. That is true. You are a trendsetter. right? Wearing fashion is for sure a trend. I love that. Let's see. Trends do not exist in craps. They don't exist. They don't exist. They don't exist. They don't exist. They don't exist, Dusted One. Trends do not exist in craps. Please, we got to stop telling people that they do. And I think that's such an important thing. They don't exist. Patterns or variance happens. Trends do not exist in craps unless you're a controlled shooter and you're making the 8 happen all the time. Trends don't exist. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but that's the truth. Just can't happen. I get so passionate about this because when you use the wrong words, people get the wrong impression, right? Things don't trend in random games. It just isn't the thing. All right, I got to get out of here. What's winning? Winning is all that matters, right? Bet what's winning. Bet what's coming. The dice don't care what I call it. I know. I care what you call it, because when you go out there, not you, but if somebody goes out there and tells people to bet the trend, that's dangerous. It's potentially really dangerous, right? You can hammer what's happening, but trending is just, it's the wrong word, man. It's the wrong word, and it really, really bugs me. So I'm done talking about it. Hopefully you all understand where I'm coming from. And there we go. They don't exist unless they do. They don't exist, period. Hot tables, cold tables are not trends. It's just what happens, right? It's just what happens, guys. Trends are just what happen. It's what you're trying to describe what you're seeing, and it's not. Things have happened, things don't happen, and you cannot predict what's going to happen. Trends allow you to predict. If you're in the market, stock market, real estate market, market trends, you can predict what's going to happen. I throw the dice, you throw the dice, you cannot predict what's going to happen. Sorry. I'm sorry to break it to you. That's the whole thing. Thank you, Bake McCraps. There is no trends in randomness, and there it is. Keep trending on the trends, baby. You know it. I'll never stop talking about it because I think it matters. I think the truth matters. And I'm just gonna keep beating the drum, right? Truth matters, right? If you can make it happen with your throw, awesome. Make it happen with your throw. I will bet with you all day long. I will bet what's coming all day long. I will not try and predict what's going to happen based on what you just did or what somebody else or 3 people just did. Sorry. Ain't happening. On a Wednesday, especially. Hump day. Guys, I know we like to have some fun with this stuff, and I know you love trolling me, and it's all good. It's all good because we're all friends. I'm sure, and I know, I've met Blacklight in person. He and I go back and forth on this stuff. Dustin and I are going back and forth on it. Darkstar and I go back and forth on it. It doesn't even matter, right? Ultimately, we're doing the same things. At the end of the day, we all have money on the right numbers, we hope, for different reasons. We're all around the thing, right? I'm a big believer in words. The interview went really, really good. I got pushed through to next week, so we're going to be next week. We are going to do the full round. I think between next week and the week after, it's going to take 2 weeks because one guy's on vacation. But they brought me through, so it'll be a full round, a full cycle of interviews next week, and hopefully it comes through because right now I'm feeling a little bit squirrely with where we are, if I'm honest. I hate to be like that, but I'm squirrely where we are. I love my company. I love what I do, but the economy and the U.S. government aren't helping us out right now, and it's really impacting what my current situation is. It really more than I can share. But there's a force at work behind it, and I'm hoping that we can snap through it. But if not, I want options. Potentially a new job, Dan. Yeah, potentially. We have we get a lot of our funding. A lot of our students are getting funding through government sources. Those government sources are going away, and so the impact of that on our enrollment, it's real, it's tangible. So that's very, very difficult. So I'm trying to weather the storm is what we're doing here, but. You know, I'm going to cover my bases. Like I'm going to hedge my bets, as they say, right? There we go. What else do we have? I think that's it. It's final thoughts time. I'm done. It's Wednesday. Again, love all you guys. Thanks for being here. The debate is good. It's healthy for us to have these conversations. It never gets ugly for the most part. It's just, a little bit of opinion doing this. At the end of the day, we all want to make money. At the end of the day, I want to teach you all so you can spread the word about how money gets made, right? Have the right conversations about betting into a variant, like the red-black thing in roulette, right? Bet what's coming, bet what's coming, bet what's coming. If it keeps coming, your bets get bigger. That's exactly, it's no more complicated than that, right? Don't try and predict what's going to happen based on what has happened before. You can't do it. You can't do it. You might strike gold once in a while, but that's not based in any kind of firm reality. And that's the thing that I get upset about. Other than that, y'all have a great day. I will see you tomorrow, maybe tonight. I may go out there and practice again tonight, but for sure I'll see you twice tomorrow, starting at 7 o'clock in the morning. Y'all have a great day. Darksider people have to agree to disagree. And I'll tell you what, the fact that we disagree, Darksider, on some things, not all things, probably on like 2% of things we disagree on, is the reason why you started emailing me, and the reason why I think we've gotten to be pretty good friends, right? To me, the disagreements are what bring you together. They don't tear us apart. Disagreements is a reason to talk. In our world today, just soapbox time, in our world today, disagreements have created a bunch of silos, a bunch of boxes that people want to put themselves in and not talk. With our group here, the disagreements create debate. The debate, for the most part, in the chat has been pretty civil and frankly pretty good. And it's gotten us a lot of great things to talk about, and we've become closer as a group because of it. So keep the disagreements coming, just keep them civil, and this thing grows. This is how we grow as people and as a community. So with that said, that's my final thoughts. Love y'all. God bless you. I will see you tomorrow, and I'm out. Bye.